Thank you for doing this.
Good morning, thank you. Appreciate that. So I think the Air Force does a really good job with resiliency. Obviously, everybody in this room can probably describe resiliency, and we all had our classes with resiliency, but I think that's just a certain piece of the puzzle. I believe another piece of the puzzle with trying to solve this is, how do you fix a broken spirit? Right? What is a broken spirit? Right? That's depression, despair, isolation. That's fallen into that suicidal thinking, problematic thinking. So broken spirit. 81 people who had that broken spirit, who had that despair, who had that depression, and took their own lives. It's a very hard decision to make. And I'll tell you a little story about myself. So, as I was transitioning out of the Air Force, as that rock star TAC-B that you described, I started getting very depressed. I started falling into that isolation as well. But what I did was I started fueling up with drugs and alcohol for about 3 good years, 3 years, well, bad years actually, and making victims of all my family and my friends, my ex-wife now, who's my best friend now, thank God, my son, and I was creating problems so that I had something to fix. And it was just a terrible time for me. And I recall one day in particular where it's probably the millionth time that I flaked on my son, and just, like I said, once again, fueled up on alcohol and drugs. And my ex had come over to my house to tell me, enough, no more. You're not going to see your son anymore. We're done. Well, I was passed out. She comes in, and I woke up to screaming and yelling and all this kind of stuff, and I just wasn't having it that day. And this is where my those dark, problematic thinking and depression, I was both suicidal and homicidal at the same time. So I recall waking up, and I just had enough, and I took the 45 Kimber from underneath my pillow, because that's what you do, right? You sleep with a 45 under your pillow, by the way. And I remember just taking a weapon out, and I walked over, I grabbed my